see. Landlines are a thing of the past.
Can you get your microphones on?
With any cloud-based phone system, is that going to be an issue with the ADP network we're using in the building?
I don't believe so. I don't believe there'd be any issues.
I don't know why it would be,
Yeah,
but
they may need to work with us in order to, tap into an outside connection. So we may need to open some ports on the existing system, but that would require ADP just to be, in the mix with whatever technician we use so that they can, again, open ports up to get to the outside.
okay.
I can't see it being an issue.
Yep, well, would they have any particular say in the hardware we use? Because I know they're pretty strict about hardware.
The one thing they were concerned about with our system is the Windows 10, because it wasn't going to be supported, and that was one of the points in the transfer, I should say, the estimate for the police department. They wanted to do all these items. They wanted to do the phone system, camera system, and everything. So, again, if we go to an outside vendor, I don't see it being an issue. They should be able to work with them. But we can certainly tap into them to see if there's something that they would require. But I think they would all be on the same page. They all kind of know what needs to be done with a cloud-based phone system.
It sounds to me like the non-cloud option is like 25 grand and 3,000 a year. The other one is 15,000 and 7,000 a year.
Between 5 and 10 up front and 7 to 10 per year. And that would be for the cloud equivalent. So the on-premise, 25 to 30 up front, 3,000 annually.
So over time, 10 years, the on-premises was less. It didn't last that
It
long.
don't last that long, yeah.
Because it becomes obsolete.
Mhm.
Because Windows will continually, at some point in the future, they'll get out of Windows 11 and say, we're not going to support it anymore. And it's also a hardware issue. So, as long as the server functions, great. But if we have server problems, then we have to deal with that. Whereas cloud-based is, if there's an issue, it's somebody else's problem to fix.
Okay.
The older phone systems lasted much longer, 15 to 20 years. And the one that we purchased back in 2016, 2017, it's, lasting a lot less, just due to the fact that the backbone is on an operating system that's related to Windows. Windows keeps upgrading their operating system. So it would probably be smarter to do, a cloud-based option. But again, that's one of those things. I think we're at that point now where if you buy an on-prem, you still could go, I think we could safely say, 6 to 7, maybe 8 years, just like this old one.
Yeah, the cloud-based will cost us more,
Ultimately.
6, 7, 8
Yeah.
years
Yeah.
than the other one. But
And
maybe a better system, more responsive than what we had with the other.
yeah, and then you don't have to worry about updating that equipment on site. That's what they're trying to talk us into, is going cloud-based for everything.
Safety Committee, any other comments?
None from safety, from me.
None.
Unless there's something from finance.
Chief, on additional considerations, Village Hall AV sound system, what here?
That would be the upgrade of the microphone system that's been had on the table for the last 2 years. We've had, we quoted it out back when we were having some issues. It still can be improved. We can certainly, improve the sound system here. That's what they're telling me. It's microphones that basically are suspended from the ceiling, and it gets rid of all of these desktop mics. It's supposed to be a cleaner audio signal and better for external feed to the YouTube.
So how old are these? I don't have a clue.
We got those in COVID, so 2020.
5 years.
That would be nice to clean off the desk.
Okay, Chief, speed reduction traffic study 306.
We put this on hold due to budgeting, so that's something that's another option that's on the table for us to move forward to get ODOT to consider a speed reduction in 306. The first thing that they want is a traffic survey. So that's $12,000 ballpark is what Eric gave me. And that's basically the starting point in which they need to consider the reduction.
So the idea is from 45 down to 35
Yeah.
within the village limits?
Yeah, I mean, they could recommend a 5 mile an hour drop, they can drop it from 45 to 40, so it would be based on the recommendation. And you have, they mentioned that, you know, in some cases, when you do this survey and you're looking for a speed reduction, the recommendation comes back that, well, you have, you know, a certain amount of distance and this is your site, you know, visibility. They sometimes will recommend an increase in speed. So we're looking for a decrease. If they recommend an increase, I don't know what we would do at that point, but I believe with everything that we've got going on with the potential crosswalks coming, I think it would be a no-brainer that they would at least reduce it by 5, hopefully 10. And as you've mentioned before, you know, you go through Chester Township, you go through Kirtland, a lot of these towns along 306 drastically reduce their speed from 45 to 35 to 25.
And enforce it.
Yeah, they do.
When I drive 35, people are right on my tail. It doesn't matter which car. Nobody goes 35 on Bell. I'm talking Bell, but not 306.
Yeah, 306 is up and down through Bainbridge as well, so we're 422 intersects with 306, it's 35 through there, and then they bring it up to 40 on the hill.
Chief, Bridgewater, Vermont, Main Street is about a mile long. There's 3 different speed limits.
Wow,
They need
pretty
revenue.
impressive.
15, 10, and 5?
No, 15 trying to pay me.
We are initiating a traffic study. It's not like they've come to us and said we need to do this.
This is in red.
ODOT hasn't come to us.
I was just came and asked about it.
Okay,
Now, we talked about the safety and thought it would be a good idea to move forward with it.
all right. Police Department building addition, 110K. Basically, you've got to connect the 2 buildings.
Yes. We have drawings that were made up, and again, this is an optional consideration. So we have some drawings that were made up, we got an estimate of about 110, and that would include the addition of 2 ADA bathrooms with shower and some additional storage for the PD.
It's probably pretty nice.
Yeah, so what we would do is if you know where the main bathroom is, which is kind of small, that would open up into a hallway between the 2 buildings. So you would gut that bathroom and it would act as the pass-through into the new section. And then we've pre-planned another door into the new garage. So we put all the utilities and electrical up high so that we can pop a door into the garage from the building so you don't have to leave the building like you do now to go to the new garage. It would all be connected together.
Okay. Any questions on this first sheet before we move on? Chiefs, anything here? This is just the normal.
Yeah, those numbers reflect all of the things in the summary sheet here, so there should be no difference between the summary sheet and that Excel spreadsheet.
Okay. So basically, the bottom line is going to be about 2 million to run the police department.
Yeah, I'm not sure what other numbers. that Dave
2,080,000. Okay.
I did notice, Chief, the drone-related expenses, that includes the new garage, right?
That won't be on that will not be on the 2026
Right.
budget. Yeah, it's gonna be, that'll be done. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I didn't think we spent 140 grand on drones themselves.
No, that was the garage. That was all the internal items that we needed for the garage. That was all inclusive. I'm sorry?
There was also
Yes, that was all donated.
Okay.
Last call safety. Anything else?
Nothing from
Chief, anything else?
That's it.
Last call for the chief, guys. All
Thank
right,
you, Chief.
Thank you.
thank you, chief. All right, street commissioner, you're next in this. Welcome to your first budget meeting. You're spending some big bucks here. So let's, if you could pull up this sheet, everyone find this. It's just, I will go through. Let's start with the replacement of the plow truck estimated at $180,000. How old's your present truck?
Present truck that we want to replace is a 2001. We took it out of service last winter because of safety concerns. The bed isn't secured to the truck anymore. And then there's quite a large amount of rust and rot through that is kind of. The truck due to the age to replace is just cost prohibitive.
Okay,
in my opinion.
when we would sell that truck off,
Yes, got to do the truck.
what do you guess to make?
It's really hard with a truck that age. With the rust, I could see that truck. It's just so hard to put a number on the good deal on that particular truck.
Okay.
The way the market is just so flexing everywhere right now.
Would somebody even want a 25-year-old truck?
We did sell one on gut deals last time. I'm looking it up right now to see what the ballpark is.
Well, that was the 91 with the manual transmission. I recall-
91 maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I recall we got some money for it. I don't think it was a lot, but it was like 10, 12 grand, something like
I
that.
have it up for you.
I think, I don't think that would be far off that truck,
So we could,
just because.
wasn't the truck we sold, they came here,
Yeah, they hauled it up in another flat and, or a big trailer, took it out of here.
they came here and hauled it off to, I thought it was Missouri. So then when we're done, you're still gonna have 4 big red snow plows.
So right now, if we were to replace it with the truck that I'm looking at downsizing the truck a little bit, not any large amount. So we would still always, my view of it is we'll still always maintain 2 large trucks. As we go further, we'll replace another truck with the same like size of this truck that I'm asking for, which is a 600 series, is the example that I'm using. There's a couple of manufacturers that like to get the guys in before getting a firm exact number on that, other than just the verbals. The thought on that is maneuverability throughout the cul-de-sacs and the tighter streets, brings the profile of the truck lower as well. And then also, it also keeps that GDW weight under CDL. So it kind of opens our abilities to, if we need to get help for some reason, chief, for instance, could get in the truck and operate legally at any point in time. I did come up with a couple of varieties of that truck or configurations of that truck. One being a standard dump, and it would be similar to the style of the big trucks we have now, just a little smaller, or a hook lift truck. The hook lift truck would be able to switch bodies out to different applications between salting, hauling material, and working out of. It basically turns one truck into 5. As far as size of the blades, it would be about 1 foot less on the width of the front blade of the truck.
Okay.
So it's really kind of not a big impact there. The efficiency on the salt spreader end of things is far better. Being a V-body style versus a tailgate spreading style truck like we have now, the V-bodies are far more efficient. So we would use theoretically, we use less salt to accomplish the same goal.
What's a V body?
So the V-body, instead right now, you fill the back of the truck, they pick it up and then spill it back, and then it spreads out. The V-body continuously feeds the salt out the back without picking up the body and carrying, which reduces the stress loads on subframes, axles, leaf springs and such.
All right, questions about the plow truck?
So the number that you, of 180,000, what does that represent
So-
in terms of the type of vehicle?
So that would be the truck and chassis, meaning the cab chassis end of things, and also the upfit onto that would be the swap loader system with the salt body and the plow on that as well.
Okay,
Now,
so this is not in a visual standpoint like what we have. This would be
correct, correct,
what you call it, the hook.
yes. So when you would look at the truck physically with no body on it, it would just be a cab and chassis looking truck. The upfit would be the swap loader, which is a hook lift, is the generic name for it. You'd be able to pick up any body, meaning a dumpster, a dump body, meaning a traditional style, or a salt body, and any one of those three bodies can go on that truck within 3 minutes. It takes less than 3 minutes to change that out. So if it were January and it was snowing on Monday, and Monday afternoon it quit snowing, Monday afternoon, 5 minutes after it quit snowing and we're done with the snow event, that truck could then be switched out and be sent right out to run cold patch and patch potholes or do some other type of work. If it were to pick up snowing again, it could come back and be back on the road within 15 minutes of changing the first body out.
So are those other bodies included in that 180?
So this 180 includes the salt body and the plow hookup. The other bodies that were available, we could order, those run in the neighborhood of about $3,000 is the rough estimate that I'm seeing across the board, depending on what you want and the configuration, how you set it up.
That's not very much.
No, very, very affordable. Also, those bodies will fit going forth any other truck with that swap loader equipment on it. So the thought that I had is, yes, this is a larger number. The truck chassis itself is running right around about $70,000. The body will be able to reuse that upfitting equipment on that, will be able to be transferred from that truck to a new chassis, and you could do that up to about 3 times before you really need to look at it and say, hey, we need to change everything out now. So going forward, instead of spending $180,000, when this truck is wore out, you're looking at spending $70,000 at today's prices to put a new truck in place. And those bodies would still fit. Now those bodies in turn, the usefulness of those bodies fall into our dumpster service that we currently have. We could get rid of, do it in-house, and take it when we fill it or as we need it. So if the chief is doing a larger project, rather than him getting a container from an outside place for $300 or $400 of rental, we already have that container. We set it there. It works on his schedule, on his program, seeing his needs. We can also transport equipment inside that body. So we could set that body on the ground. It's a 6 to 8 inch step up into the body at that point. We can move mowers, we could move any of the equipment that we have or would eventually, hopefully, get inside of that body as well. When there's projects, various other places too, we can set the bodies and use one truck to accomplish a few different tasks along the way. So it really kind of turns it into a multi-purpose vehicle.
Do you need a crane or anything like that to change the bodies out?
Self-sufficient. The truck that you can have a different set of controls. So you can have a control where you're inside the truck and you have to physically pull a handle. Those typically, surprisingly, are more expensive to put in the truck than a pendant style. So if you're within 50 feet of the truck, you can run that truck. So the operator could swap that body out, standing outside watching all the way around his truck, making sure nothing's going to interfere. So it's a very kind of forward truck, and it's becoming very popular with just across the board because of the usefulness in general. You don't have one truck sitting in the garage saying it's a purpose-built truck and only does one job. This way, you could put it as multiple.
Did you ever work with one of these?
I have. The city of Pepper Pike, when I was at Pepper, they have them They offer, actually, they use the Eclipse program to offer residents. They built a number of containers in, and they rent them to the residents at a reduced cost for a 24-hour period. That's something that you could call and say, hey, I want to clean up my garage. We drop you a container at a set price, and you fill it and you take it and dispose of it. Independence has all of their big trucks are all swap loaders, and including their 550, 600 series trucks. They have a few fixed bodies, but it's only about $20,000 different in trucks.
So I've heard a lot of wonderful theoretical things about all these bodies that we can swap out, but de facto, what you've budgeted for is a single-purpose truck. So, it's wonderful that you might have a capability, but you're not budgeting for any of the other options here.
In this number, I did budget worst-case scenarios for costs on trucks, so it does leave. And I did that with the thought of replacing a salt truck. But once those numbers are firm numbers.
So it's still basically budgeting for a single-purpose use salt truck.
At the moment.
Well, sure, but once you spend $3,000 and you get, or $6,000, you get 2 other bodies.
But let's put that in the budget. Let's call, if we want 3 other bodies at $3,000 a piece, let's put 190 on the line. And because you're gonna want that flexibility.
And you're gonna need to store them somewhere.
They're able to be stored outside.
So we're talking about somewhere in the vicinity of the salt farm.
I could put them under, with the overhangs that we're building under the salt barn, and where the salt barn is laid out, we can absolutely put them under the roof in the salt dome.
It's, Tim, just out of a question. If I wanted to buy exactly what I have right now, replace it, what's the price tag?
If I do the same truck as we just spent and have it re-outfitted to that truck, you're about 270,
How much?
about 270,000.
The last time we bought a truck was 160, 140,
Yeah.
Well,
153.
that was only a couple of years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. That was 5 years ago. Well, I'm assuming 5 years because everything is skyrocketing fast.
Okay, just curious.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know at the street committee one, last one that we had, I asked for a cost benefit of old style vehicles and the new. But, I'm not seeing any real hard numbers besides a discussion where we're pulling figures out of the air to say, yeah, this is about what it would cost. That kind of information would be nice to help support your budget.
Other questions about the plow truck?
Tim, how many of those extra bodies are available generally?
They are usually made to order and available within 2 weeks in order. So they're really easy to get with multiple vendors. Chagrin actually just has bought one and they're switching their smaller trucks in to do that.
So are you talking like a GMC or you get it through them?
So I've asked Ford for a price on the chassis. I've asked International as well for a chassis price to, everything. I've asked over a month ago and have touched back and forth with them continuously to get that price, and they're working on it. Unfortunately, I don't have that because they're just take forever to get the price out of it.
So if we buy a Ford truck, then you get the Ford extra bodies. You get them from Ford, correct?
No, you can get those from anywhere, any vendor.
That doesn't seem like it would work.
Yeah, it's a standardized size, so it's very universal. It's kind of like, the truck is a size 13 shoe, and you can get anybody to make you that 13 size shoe.
Want the information on the Gov Deals auction?
Sure.
1998 International truck, it went for $13,100. It's a model 4900 with 53,000 miles on it. 1998, it was a 98.
So,
And we sold it, gotta look at the date,
So we're talking,
21,
Wow.
2021.
so we could possibly get 20 of them on this old truck. Okay, suggestion before we go on. Can you take a morning, maybe it's just for me, and go get some pictures
absolutely.
of this truck, these pieces. I think I know what a skid steer's coming up in a minute, but a picture of a skid steer and the excavator and you know, everyone knows what a pickup. But yeah, just some pictures to say this is what it's going to be. I mean, you just go over to Pepper Pike and.
Sugar has one, and
Sugar's got it.
I'm very confident to say I can bring the truck here.
Okay.
And you can physically see.
That,
I would like to.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So as far as the budget's concerned, we add 10,000, from 180 to 190. That would be enough to get 3 different bodies.
I feel confident to say that.
Right.
okay, next up, fine, yes, I didn't mean to rush. So we can put that up to 190 and bring us some pictures.
Alright.
Purchase of a mini skid steer, 45, what's a skid steer?
So this summer, we've done some large projects around the village, as you guys have seen. And we rented a skid steer that you sit down and you run. And in the course of doing that, we realized that machine's far bigger than we have the needs for. We don't need something that big at $90,000, $70,000 for something that size. So the staff and I agreed on this, and we said, what other options are there? And they have what they call a stand-on skid steer. We started to demo a few of those. One of the large projects that we demoed that on was the police chief's project of the garage back there. And we agreed that is probably a better suited sized machine for what we do. Small areas. We're talking a machine that is no wider than these desks and 4 to 5 feet in length. That'll give us the ability to get in all the tight spots in small areas that we get in everywhere we get. Also, we could mow with, this year while we were demoing, we mowed the rental property behind the police station with it as well. And it accepts a variety of attachments from augers to mowers to forks and any of the other such things, which are all readily available for rent and for very cheap. Standard, they come with a bucket and forks. It's what they come through for demoing. So I did not ask them to quote that out because we're demoing, and I don't think that it would be fair to ask somebody to give me a price on something. I'm not sure that I really want that machine. So until we narrow down the top 3, because of the amount of people making those machines now, the top 3 of what we think would work best for us. That being said, the few that we've demoed are all about this price.
I got targeted yesterday by Bobcat for a mini skid steer for $45,000 even. I thought maybe you saw the same ad.
Oh, no. This is just what, we had a Vermeer dealer stop and say, hey, why don't you try our machine? And we were in the midst of the water line repair, so we, okay, and we just did a little bit of run around with it. We said, hey, what's the ballpark on this machine? And they said, they said $40,000.
Is a skid steer something that we use to stack salt in the salt dome?
Mini skid steer's a lot small, the bucket's not very big.
No, we would not use that.
Please don't.
No, we have a loader that's built for that application. This is not something that is built for that application, that size project. It's designed for landscape size projects, the smaller projects. That going forward with the excavator, pairing the 2 machines essentially gives us what the backhoe does, but more efficiently, faster and tighter.
Any other comments on the skid steer before we get to the excavator?
I guess my one question about the skid steer is that a year or 2 ago, we got the PWC grant. Remember we got like a cement buggy to help move stuff for the cemetery. I don't know if we were to move forward with skid steer, we would meet that.
I think we would because of the side dumping feature.
It dumps on, the side dumping was a big focus for the BWC and, you know, just moving materials without wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
I did talk to the rep that did that grant, and she wasn't very confident that that would fall into it because there's so many different factors that are in attachments. So she said it's a little bit of a hard sell on the BWC stuff.
Okay, excavator. Tell us what we have now.
So right now we have a Case 580 backhoe that was slated for replacement already. The backhoe to replace what we have right now is $143,000. So I think it is in best interest to replace, instead of replacing the backhoe, to purchase an excavator and that stand-on skid steer, because that way we cover all of our bases more efficiently. With the excavator, we stay to ditch and do pipe work that we do and we do a lot of. It keeps us in our lane of traffic. We don't stick out into traffic or squeeze that other lane down with the operators that currently do the backhoe. Just the mobility and the flexibility with the excavator is it just exceeds what a backhoe can do. Backhoes are known to be a piece of equipment that does a lot of jobs, but not any one job great. These machines do their job great.
You would get rid of our backhoe.
I would keep our backhoe until it became cost prohibitive to repair. At that point, we send it out.
Can you use the excavator for grave digging?
Yes, and with less ground impact. Excavators and skid steers will tend to put down less pounds per square foot than you will walking. And then the turf damage and ground damage is minimal, very minimal, where the backhoe is abusive to the ground.
Can you give me a model number of the excavator you're talking about?
Cat said gave us an estimate for a 304.
304, okay.
Which is similar to the size that Newberry has, which they were gracious enough to let us use this year to do a project on Cascade. And that's how we kind of demoed that version of the machine.
Did we buy too large of a backhoe or front end loader?
No, that's kind of the standard size machine that municipalities run, is that size backhoe. It's just the applications, they just, depending on what you're doing.
So you use that like with the culvert up on Bell and that stuff,
Right.
big stuff.
Well, the excavator would have the same reach as the backhoe we currently have, however, we wouldn't have to stick into the other lane, the oncoming traffic lane, and we would have to squeeze down and come off the lane. We could stay off the road a little easier.
I was surprised to see a pickup truck.
So
Our trucks look terrific.
So the pickup truck is in lieu of replacing the 1-ton dump that was supposed to be replaced a few years ago. Here it's the 2012 1-ton dump is on here for replacement. And the reason that I said a pickup truck instead of a 1-ton dump is because of the salt truck being swap loader. That swap loader can replace the duties of that 1-ton dump.
Our employees have a love affair with the 1-ton.
Yes, they do.
And this is going to be better.
It is. It's more versatile. And for minimal difference in price, really.
What size pickup are you thinking?
Just another F-250, the same as our current red pickup truck that we used out during COVID.
So we would sell the 1-ton.
Correct. We would sell 1-ton. And I think that that truck, I believe, will bring 25,000 somewhere in there. So it'll bring a fair amount.
We put a new body on that a few years ago.
Okay.
Big numbers. It's okay, so we're at about 375,000. You got 600 in the reserve fund. The garage doors.
So the 6 remaining garage doors, I would like to replace as well this coming year. That way they're all, right now we have a garage door that's getting replaced because it has rotted out and it served its lifespan. So we're in the same situation with the other doors, we're on borrowed time. So it's just the updating for wear.
You wanna see how the current one door replacement works before you buy the others?
No, I'll match it with the same door, same company. It's a good door. Thad is our kind of resident door expert, and he has looked over that spec, and he's like, it looks like a great door. That's even, far more spring cycles as they traditionally come.
I don't know the answer to this. Are all those doors the same age, or some have been replaced as we go?
I don't know that we've ever replaced those doors since 2005.
The last one, all the way, as you're facing the garage doors, all the way to the right is a different design. If you notice, it's not a flat panel, it's embossed. So that was probably installed when we added the addition.
Yeah. So in terms of replacing the doors,
So
did you guys do it in the 90s?
I do not remember.
Because I don't think we've done it since 2005, so they're old.
Yeah.
No doubt.
the door, the newest door, which would be on that addition, is the same size as the 2 doors in the alcove. And those doors don't see the salt and the moisture, so we would save that door, any good parts from that door to make sure that
I guess my question is, why don't we replace all the doors at the same time?
we would replace all the doors across the front of the building here. They would all be. The 2 alcove doors,
Yeah,
those doors are in really good condition because they don't have salt trucks and the moisture that these front doors.
well, I'm talking about the big doors.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
We're gonna do one of them this year, the
Correct.
current one,
Yeah.
right? Why don't we do all of them?
This one was an emergency repair because it's out, we can't open it.
It doesn't move.
Understood, but what I'm saying is, we have one failure for sure.
Mhm.
The other ones, I imagine, are not that far behind in
No,
terms
they're
of
not.
replacements. So should we not do it this year rather than next year?
The reason I would think next year would be better is, as Chris said, hold off until we see what the salt building is.
We've been hoarding money depending on what the salt barn costs us. And so, the suggestion was, let's repair what we have to repair, but let's put the rest of it into the 26 budget.
Good.
And then we'll know what the salt barn is gonna cost us here in the next 90 days. And if we have money left over, I'm fine with saying, hey, if we've got the funds, let's go do it,
Okay.
if that makes sense. But other than that, let's just be cautious, because I just don't know what that number's gonna be.
On the,
For the 6 doors?
Now, for the salt barn,
Okay.
but while we're on doors, I think Danielle noted we didn't put anything in there for the, I don't know what you call the side things,
Pillars
yeah,
for the brickwork.
yeah. And that needs to be addressed, doesn't it?
I'd like to get the doors in and then go from there.
Or wouldn't it be better to,
The red brick is more aesthetic than structural. The cinder block columns behind the red brick are intact and good, but the red brick is on the bottom one from the salt trucks coming in and out with splashing salt and such.
for our information, Tim, ballpark it, just
For
the brickwork. You
I
buy
would think a couple $100 per column, so.
per column?
Yeah,
So what are we talking less than $2,000?
yeah, maybe 2 or 3 at the most.
So here's a
Yeah,
follow-up.
brickwork done recently?
Here's
On
a
your
follow-up.
stairs or anything?
Yeah.
Well, but Thad did this. Is Thad capable of,
I think replacing those wouldn't be out of our scope.
Tim, please go get a quote,
Sure.
okay? And tell us before we,
Wait a minute, for the brickwork, the brickwork or?
brickwork?
The brickwork, all right, we're not installing the doors.
no.
That was your question.
We're holding
No, we're not installing.
5 doors.
We're not installing.
But there wasn't a figure in there, so throw a figure in that
Okay.
is
Yeah.
reasonable.
Street committee, any other comments on this page?
No,
I have a question. I mean, this looks like a lot of good stuff that can help your team be efficient, more efficient. But my question is, at $365,000, if you had to choose something that's imperative, you have to have, which one of these 4 or 5 things is that?
That would be the salt truck.
Salt truck.
that you have to have. I wanted to make sure I heard you right.
Yes. So the 180 swamp
190.
loader.
Okay.
I think my hesitancy comes from a lot of infrastructure projects we have looking ahead. And quite honestly, our emergency services looking
Yes.
ahead, we don't know. It looks like it's gonna be much more expensive. I know someone look at some other options, regardless, we don't know.
But something to recall is that this is from a reserve fund,
Well, I understand.
and if we don't use it, eventually it goes into the general fund. Maybe that's fine. However, back when we did this, because the high dollar value of salt trucks,
Right.
excavators and all that stuff, and it was such a huge fight back then to replace a salt truck. So I think it was actually your suggestion, Danielle, that we have a reserve fund for major equipment.
The county auditor suggested that after the budget commission did, but that reserve fund is set up till the end of 2028. So you have 3 more years to spend those funds before it goes back to the general fund.
Not that we have to spend the money,
No,
but we earmark this for precisely this kind of thing. And it looks like a big dollar amount when I first saw it, and I remember the reserve fund behind it. And certainly,
looking at the equipment we have and the replacement schedule that we have, and, knowing what I know about equipment, the next purchase I would say we would be looking at would be replacing the 2008 large salt truck with like truck to this. But other than that, our large trucks, the rest of them are 2018, 2020, so they have a lot of life left on them. The APW really feels that a 12-year lifespan is the salt truck lifespan.
as a note, we have
And that's
wildly
the
exceeded that
Yes.
a number of times.
Absolutely, and that attributes to the fact that when we're done salting, we wash. And that is imperative to continue to do,
I think there's
is
a
to wash
UFO.
and maintain and keep things that are, keep doing what we've been doing, which is keep our equipment nice.
Okay.
You're not done yet. A compliment to the chief and to Tim. Chief, thank you for your chart that we went over. That was very easy to understand. Tim, thank you for this explanation, which is basically everything you just said anyway. And we have the 2023 large equipment inventory. Was there anything on there that we needed to worry about or to discuss? Because I think we've pretty much gone through everything. Some of the rest of the stuff is kind of small time items. But I think you got your 4 biggies out of the way. I think Chris has brought up a good point. Maybe we only spend 200,000 this year and 200 the next, and 200 the next. Any questions on the large equipment schedule?
I have a question. So in preparing the draft budget, do you want me to include all the requested items or just the 190,000 and see where we sit? Or
Why don't you put it in and you can always just scratch it out. But I think we agree the salt truck will probably stay in.
For sure.
Okay, Ruth, Dennis, anything on this as we go down to these line items?
There is a line item in there that I asked to be added, and that was for stormwater and specifically for dredging. And I noticed, Danielle, that the amount put in there was 33,000.
Well, we're actually still in the street commissioner's budget, that was just large equipment, stuff that he went through, but yes, I did add the stormwater dredging line item for 33,950 as requested by utilities.
This just came up because this is in the street maintenance area. There's 33,950, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, anything on the street maintenance that we need to talk about?
On the dredging, what's the intended purpose of it? You know, when we have supported dredging, it's generally been because there has been a connection with either utility work or the village work, which may or may not have contributed to the silting of a particular pond. Are you suggesting that this fund be used for general dredging of all ponds, or what?
I think that's the proper way, the proper goal ultimately, is that we do dredging on a village-wide basis for the 41 ponds that are either privately owned or HOA, well, I guess that's private, by an individual or by an HOA. Because dredging is becoming more and more of an issue, I think, in the village, and it's not going to get any different over time. So that the 33,950 that's there represents the likely cost, and Tim can weigh in on this, I think, the Sugar Bush incident we had as a result of the Manor Phase 1 project. So to your point, that was a village project that, at least in some form or fashion, led to the silting up of the Sugar Bush silt pond and then spilling over into their lake. So, from public utilities point of view, the village played a part, let's say, in that silt buildup.
Understand that. My concern is expending public funds for private property. And, you know, just moving forward, is the consistent dredging of privately owned ponds a business that the village should be in or should be thinking about getting into?
15 years ago, I think the village response was, we don't do anything on private property.
I think that's the way that the laws work.
I don't know if
It's not that the village's opinion was that. I think the use of public funds for private purposes is prohibited by law.
I suppose I take the viewpoint that silt buildup, stormwater issues are a public purpose. And because of that, we did the Manor Brook Phase 1 project, which was entirely on private land that benefited people to the east in terms of stormwater and to the west as well. We also did culvert replacement. We added a second culvert to Ralph Richards driveway. That was a total single-purpose project that greatly benefited that homeowner, but it also significantly improved drainage to the north, water coming from the Bellwoods.
I'm going to interrupt this conversation. The item is there, but I think this is not going to get solved in the next few minutes. If we could move on, just take note under street maintenance, which is the next sheet up here. We haven't put anything budgeted for road, the very first item under street maintenance.
Well, because I explained it in my sheet, how we have the road, Bell Road paving is the program for next year,
Okay,
that's what.
done. All right,
So it's gonna be divided between the road and bridge fund and the permissive tax fund and the, Bell Road East fund.
good. I'm trying to get to all those in a minute.
My assumption, Daniel, is that the Bell Road East project next year, and it has to be done next year, am I right about that?
Not necessarily.
You didn't check your email today.
Well, I'm checking it out. So what's the latest on
It's in
that?
jeopardy.
In jeopardy.
It's in jeopardy.
Okay, so anyhow, on the street maintenance, that's why we left it zero instead of the usual 350,000 in the top right-hand corner. Anything else on this sheet? I know we got the salt in there, the usual salt, storm sewer. I don't think there's any radical change. Last year it was 740,000. This year we've been 430, or pardon me, it's 740 this year. If we did 350, it'd be about the same. So anything else on street maintenance group? Did you
No.
see, Jim?
No,
Okay. Expenses in the operating, Danielle, we're going to get to you. Expenses in the state highway. This was something,
Well, operating, wait a minute, you have that.
I know we jumped you.
That's Steve from Lowe, he has 50,000 in improvements.
say that again.
What was that for the garage
For the
doors?
garage, yeah.
Okay. That-
So on this item here, expenses, the state highway fund, we're talking 13,000 with some salt and cinders. Chief, is 5 going to be enough the way the traffic signal is as far as any sort of a cost that we run into?
You talking about maintaining?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, we should be fine. Okay, so anything on expenses under the state highway fund? Okay, we're jumping over Parks and Recreation. We're going to do cemeteries, since this falls to you too, Tim. Anything with the cemetery that you're seeing, as Chris Bell mentioned, we got 2 nice pieces of equipment, which is saving on our labor. Is there anything under expenses cemetery funds? that Anybody has a concern?
I just had a question, the wages, that's for the cemetery sexton?
No, that's for, each year, we are supposed to, we allocate some of the, service department, the time they spend over there doing burials and lawn mowing from that fund, because it can only be expended for cemetery-related expenses. So at the end of the year, we make an adjustment for how much time the guys spent there doing the work for it to come out of that fund.
So then we actually track that for how frequently you mow?
Yeah.
Okay,
And I recall as well that if we didn't do it that way, that cemetery fund would continue to bill until some point.
So the next, so we have, been 20, 30 years. So.
Anything else on expenses for the cemetery fund? All right, we are now at expenses for the permissive tax fund.
That's the portion of the road use that will come out of the permissive tax fund. I called them last week, and that's how much we have in that fund from the county. So we
Okay.
can apply for that.
All right, thank you. Expenses, the road and bridges fund.
Same thing, that's the portion of the Bell Road program that will come out of that fund.
Okay, and here we are at expenses, Bell Road East. If this comes about.
So,
Any questions or comments on Bell Road East?
so in there, I have the Bell Road East project as well as the bike path are in the budget.
Okay,
As of now, as opposed to.
as of now, that's in there.
that's good. I'm glad you did that.
All right, here are the expenses, large equipment. I
Those
think
are
we got
done.
everything, we just did that, it's going to go up to 375 at this point.
Yes, because the pickup will be changed to 50,000, the plow truck will be changed from 200 to 190,000, the excavator will be changed from 80 to 90,000, and the mini skid steer for 45,000, so you need total 375.
Okay, then we'll have some pictures. All right, so, anything else for the street commissioner? We duly noted you took more time than the police chief. Danielle, where would you like me to start now?
When you skipped over the property, maybe for the park and rec,
Park and Rec right here,
that's got an increase of 2,000, I don't,
okay?
It's for the fall festival.
Correct.
Fall Festival is 12,000 this year, but it was miscellaneous others getting changed from 10,000 to 12,000.
Correct as well.
Okay.
Yes, which is additional maintenance costs relative to the restroom and mulching for the playground, those items. So
And we had, with 250, if we're gonna do a couple things in the summer as opposed to, a big fall thing.
So it's a placeholder, but it's a start.
Okay? And yeah, let me get back to the general that, where would you like me to go now?
If you keep scrolling, no, the other end, general, we put it
We're
down.
good for here, for here.
Really the general budget is council's budget. I didn't have any significant changes for next year. The only thing is, in making the changes, for the new finance software, I was going to have to go through every line item and reassign numbers. And looking at the budget, we currently have the water monitor testing, and the stormwater phase two are in the general fund, but they should probably get moved to the street fund where all the other water related items are. So I was just gonna move those budget line items, which essentially gets funded through the general fund to, the street maintenance fund. And then I explained the Bell Road, East paving, I don't know if we're going to go to that, well, we can go into that in council, for that project, and how it will be divided among the different funds. The other thing, is the road and bridge fund. If you recall with the property evaluations, we, council decided the last 2 years to reduce levy collections from 1.5 mil to 0.5 mil. So if council doesn't take any action, that will expire at the end of this year and we will collect the full 1.5 mils. If you want, you can either renew it for the same amount, you can reduce it and phase it in, you can get rid of it totally and collect the whole amount. So, council would have to, talk about it, decide kind of what percentage you would want to collect, and then once you kind of have a percentage, then, we give that to the county auditor, and they would let us know how the that equals in millage.
But if we do nothing, it goes back up at the end of this year.
Correct.
To the full amount.
100%.
Yeah.
The other thing I did want to know, let you know, is we did get our health insurance renewal back, and we had a 0% increase.
Really?
And so those numbers are not reflected in this budget.
Okay, I gotta ask, how did that happen?
We're still grandfathered in from before long.
That's right.
So we're based on our pool of employees, so they did a good job.
That's great news.
Who's broke?
And then the trails, like I said, I did put that in the budget as a placeholder. We'll have to decide to go forward with that. And after our meeting with, NOACA last week, that may have to get pushed out to 27, so we'll have to talk through that one. The large equipment, just so you know, that reserve fund was put into place in June of 22. It's 100,000 per year for 6 years, so we'll have 600,000 by the end of 2028. And it can be moved back to the general fund before that if you choose to. That's your decision. The garage bay doors, I did include that in the special land and building budget. The police department needs flooring for $3,000. That was put in the special land and building budget. The fire ambulance agreement, I put a placeholder in for the 12% increase. I know a decision hasn't been made, but so we have something in there. Then we'll also have to adjust the revenue collections if we choose to renew our contract, because that's going to get phased out over 3 years. So last year we got 132,000 in EMS collection, so it would be a 12% increase plus a third of our EMS collection. And that, is not the same every year, but last year it was quite significant. The new telephone system I put in the special land and building fund with a $20,000 earmark for it. I'll keep it in this initial draft I'll put together, and then we can pull stuff out after that. And then the stormwater dredging line item was added to the street maintenance budget for $33,950.
Can I just take a breath? Between you two, Mr. Howard is going to be coming in a couple minutes. He'll need,
I'll get it.
we need to, the elevator is all set and working. I don't know how he's gonna let us know. I think he's just gonna.
He's got a white SUV. He's got
We're pulling up to the handicap spot. Can you guys get him in here?
There is one there now.
You need, the elevator's up here at the top though. Yeah. But thank you. Right, sorry, Danielle.
No, that's okay, I'm glad you remember. So that's all I had, and then I did have a list of other things that have been discussed over the past year, but hasn't been in the budget in any way, just such as things like the park burn, the crosswalk, those type of things. There are things committees talked about, but didn't find their way into the budget. So I don't know if they were overlooked.
I had a question. I thought the bocce people were coming back to us with a proposal. Were they waiting on our end? So I just need to contact them.
No, the bocce people, I said, come back in October when we have this done. I don't know if they will or not. They haven't done anything that I know of.
I thought it was more, come back when you have a donor.
Okay, Danielle, you're still
But
overall.
that's really all I have, so I don't know if council has any changes to the general budget, you have anything that I missed or overlooked?
I don't remember what the Maple Ridge sewer project is.
That we found something, like what we try to do, because committees always aren't real good about getting back to me and telling me what it is they're doing with the budget. So we went through and read the minutes, and that's what the things we pulled out. So that is one thing I would request of the committees, is when there's something that's gonna change to affect the budget, to please let me know.
If I'm remembering this right, I think the Maple Ridge project is that big project on basically one street to tear out all of the underground piping and replace it new, and I think that's the $500,000.
So that's the
project.
Hazelwood, not
That's
the.
Hazelwood, yes.
No, Maple Ridge, I think is 500,000. Fairview Hazelwood is the same kind of thing. And my recollection is Fairview Hazelwood is going to be 96,000, but Maple Ridge is going to be $500,000. Remember that, Jerry? The engineer talking, the mayor,
The one
talking about that?
right between the two houses.
Well, that's Fairview.
That's Fairview.
The one next one over.
Maple Ridge.
That's Maple Ridge. And then Hazelwood is like the one at the end that runs perpendicular to both.
Just trying to remember which
But the
project.
ravine project with Russell,
Uh-huh.
that's Fairview Hazelwood.
Look, the one with Russell for this year,
Yeah,
that's Hemlock.
Yeah,
And that, I just got, the bid specs from the engineer today, and the bid opening is October 3rd.
okay, we'll have to standardize what we're talking
Right,
about.
because what, the minutes, when you put these things, we're always going, which project is meeting, so. But
Okay,
Hemlock is this year, we do have full PWC funding for that.
okay, so we'll now, henceforth, we'll refer to Fairview Hazelwood as Hemlock.
Which I know is Walters Road, but I'll call it Hemlock.
Oh, God, don't confuse us. But I get your point. It is
I know.
road.
It's okay, as long as we're all calling it the same thing.
And I thought Maple Ridge was the $500,000 project. Anyway, okay.
So we jumped to expenses in the general fund, just looking at the health. We had 20,000 for health insurance, and there will be no change. That's unbelievable. That's great.
Danielle, do all of our employees take advantage of the bonus
Just, for
for the health?
the exam,
Yes.
last year, just, I think everybody did,
Yeah.
a lot of them don't, because when we started the program, they didn't do their physicals until November, December, so it's the mad dash at the end of the year. But yeah, almost.
And what is that amount again?
250.
250.
So council, before, if they would like to do it again next year before the end of the year, we'll make a motion for that. But yeah, they do it, and maybe that's what's helping our health rates, but,
Oh, I think so. Couldn't hurt.
I just jumped to this expenses, the general fund sheet.
Mhm.
Anything on here we really need to know?
just a question, the human resource consultant, we had 10,000.
That was for, Minister Gavin.
Yeah, for Jim.
For Jim
Right,
Booth.
So,
But we don't anticipate doing that in 2026.
we didn't do the job descriptions this year.
Oh, okay, so leave it.
I think that's how.
Okay, to update the job descriptions, okay, because we need to do that. Okay. That was the one I saw.
I'm glad you looked at it.
Anything else on, we're continuing the general fund expenses?
I don't think so.
Nothing out of the
I
ordinary.
did leave, for the communication and news, because now we don't have the newsletter, but we do have the text and I go. So, next we want to start using that more proactively. So we did, of the 400 letters we sent out to the people who were in the geo fencing, we got over like close to 200 of them that signed up, so.
And Chief, thank you. I know you contacted a couple people that needed individual help.
Yeah.
Thank
Very
you.
good, thank you.
All right, here at the expenses service fund, street commissioner back here, I see street lights. I don't know how much you get involved with that.
Meaning like just
I did all those-
maintenance?
Okay, so this is all,
What, why does cemetery have, what's the 250? What would that,
Electricity,
okay. Oh, okay.
so the
anything,
service fund is basically electricity and utilities and building maintenance, property maintenance.
okay. All right, expenses, fire and ambulance.
That's the 12% I put in as a placeholder, for the increase.
Anything else on fire and ambulance?
There's an EMS billing refund on here, I think that's clawed back, isn't it? Was that,
What?
a different wording?
These are expenses, so they charge us. We have to pay Sugar Falls because they do our EMS billing. It's the only way we can get the insurance, the Medicare portion. So we paid Sugar Falls Fire Department 2% to do the billing, and they paid Life Force 7%. So those are our
Okay.
costs for it. But on the revenue end of things, I'll have to go back and make an adjustment for that.
Yeah, you're right.
But that's, revenues have already been certified by the Budget Commission, so we'll have to wait till after January to make that amendment.
The only other thing on the fire and ambulance fund, the hazmat contract, that meeting will come in January. Expect will probably be maybe a $500 increase up to from $3,500 to $4,000. But we'll know in January. Anything else on fire and ambulance and the ambulance fund? Deferred benefits, anything we need to get into here?
Deferred benefits is if we have anybody retiring next year, and we don't, as far as I know, so.
Okay.
We do.
Special land in the building. We got,
Mr. Mayor,
go ahead.
sorry.
We do, we have one potential retirement, first quarter of next year.
I'll get that added in.
Okay. Special land and building, we got the service department garage doors. The new phone system is in here right now. So it's in the budget.
And so the floor, for the service department garage doors, I had 50,000, but you presented 43.2.
Yeah.
So are you confident in that number, or?
Yeah, one of the quotes that I got back was 44, but that's, I'm still waiting for a refresh from the current door that's getting replaced for the 6.
Okay. Anything else there? We are at the building department fund. Ruth, anything, nothing's out of the ordinary that I believe.
No.
Dennis, or Mark, anything you need to worry about the building department?
The
building
only
committee?
thing that computer expense, that includes what they're working with right now, the 7,000 with the new program, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
No comment on building department? All right, that's the last page. Danielle, what have we forgotten?
I think that's everything, so I'll put this all together, and then, see what the budget looks like, and then I'll get it out.
Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn this special council meeting at 6:52?
Seconded.
moved by Canton, seconded by Kavanaugh. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, we are adjourned. Council meeting starts in